all about deception. People, they usually trick you and they do some tricks for them to be able to do fraud inside the organization. Look at Mr. John. Mr. John, he's working in a very nice university, and he got, a history of experience in marketing, and he was doing so many marketing campaigns. And by mistake, when we are reviewing the policy of the organization, we noticed that actually all the departments are allowed to do any expenses less than 2,500. So we said, great, when we are reviewing that, let's go and take some expenses less than 2,500. And when we took these expenses, we discovered something weird, that Mr. John is actually approving so many invoices. Looks like weird. It's called for an archery company. I was like, what is archery company? It's called for fixing company. What is fixing company? Very weird name. So we called these companies and we discovered they are company responsible for restoring antiques. And we were like, why are you sending the marketing manager of a university sending invoices to the university for fixing antiques? So we decided to go and investigate these invoices further to understand what actually happened. We decided to go and say, is there a fraud? Is there a fraud happening inside the organization or not? We said, how can we discover that? First, we said, how he is actually creating these invoices. Are we getting these invoices directly from the organization, or we are getting it from him? Looks like he is going, approving the services, he's actually doing the invoices, reviewing the invoices, approving the invoices, and sending us the invoices. So there are no segregation of duty. He is doing everything about the invoices, and after that, he is actually settling the invoices with the vendor at the end. I was like, that's great. So we decided to create an investigation technique to catch Mr. John. We can't go and approach Mr. John and say, Mr. John, you actually doing this because he's at high rank in the university. So what we decided to go and do? We decided to go and put all the pictures of all these antiques that he actually fixed, because we got these pictures from the vendors, in the conference room, and invite Mr. John to come to our conference room. And we said, Mr. John, could you come? He was shocked. Why we are asking him to come to our accounting department? Then he said, well, I'm going to come. And the minute he looked at us, he was really shocked when he looked at all these pictures of all these items that he fixed. He knew immediately that we got all the information about him. Then he started getting angry, very angry. And funny enough, he started accusing us that we took his personal information from all this company, but actually, he's been in the organization, the university, for all these companies. And then he started running away, thinking that he would be able to run away from us. We called his lawyer, and after that, what happened? He said, I'm really sorry, I have a bad habit. I have a second love. I have my wife, but my second love is for antiques. And I love to get all these antiques and fix them, but I don't have the money. So we said, great. But please give us all the antiques back. He said, sorry, I don't have money to pay back for all the expenses, but you can collect the antiques from the warehouse. And we got all these antiques and we were able to send them back. And gain the money back, bring the money back to the university. Very interesting way of looking at this. Very interesting. So people are doing fraud inside the organization for so many reasons. And what kind of fraud is happening inside the organization? If we look at the big picture, there are three kinds of fraud can happen. There are fraud related to manipulation of financial statements. There are fraud related to corruption and bribery. There are fraud related to manipulation of assets, misappropriation of assets, cash or inventory. So we're like, wow, that's really great when we look at the big picture. What about the investigation strategy? Do we have actually the right investigation strategy when we are doing fraud cases? Because if we implement the wrong investigation strategy, maybe you are breaking some ethics law. While speaking about fraud as well as ethics, can you do fraud investigation in a way you get a person, you hit him and say, you need to tell me now if you are doing fraud? That's not ethical. But at the same time, going and soliciting information in the wrong way also is not ethical. HP, they had an issue. The company, HP, the board of directors discovered that their strategy are being leaked out to their competition. So the chairman of the board of directors said, how can we go and do an investigation to be able to discover which one of the board of directors is leaking this information out to our competition? They hired an investigation team, and actually what they did was very funny. They went and they called the telecommunication company saying that they are the board of directors and they would like to obtain their phone record, and they obtained the phone record in illegal way from the telecommunication company. And after that, they looked at the phone record, analyzed them, and they discovered who in the board of directors doing this. Next month, the chairman came and she said, sorry, we discovered that you were leaking the information because we looked at your phone record, who are fired. Guess what happened? That's not ethical. Even it's not legal. So in that way, the rest of the board of directors said, this is not acceptable. We don't want that. And after that, the chairman, she had to resign and lose her job. So stuff like this can happen inside your organization if you handle any kind of fraud investigation, any kind of issue in an illegal way, or maybe an ethical way. What about catching large fraud? Do we look inside the organization at small fraud, or do we look at a large fraud? They say if your fraud inside the organization is really small enough, no one is going to bother to do any investigation about it because it's going to cost a lot of resources for us to go and investigate this fraud. But what will happen? Let's see what will happen. Let's see what will happen in this interesting organization that is selling tires. Tires, who can steal tires from an organization? The name of the organization is Goodner Product, and meet Mr. Woody. Mr. Woody, he's a very nice man, very successful man. I love him. He got an amazing family. He's one of our best salespeople inside the organization. But what happened? He got an issue. He is gambling and he's losing some money and he's trying to recover this money. So he decided to go and say, let me go to some of the warehouses in a remote location and look at these tires that they are a little bit old. And let me try to convince some of the customer in buying these tires but giving me cash to my pocket. Because I can tell him these are old, we are getting rid of them, we can do a cash payment to my pocket and I can give it to you because we can't really issue invoices for tax purposes inside our company. And he was successful in doing this. First time, second time, he liked the idea. But there is a big issue. Inventory is going out of the inventory warehouse, and in the accounting record he needs to do something. He needs to call someone to fix it. He said the best thing for me to do is to go and invoice my clients who are getting huge volume, and in that way they will be saying, okay, sorry, there's something wrong with the invoice. We will correct it. Otherwise, what will happen? Otherwise, they will pay for it. Because think about it. If their accounting department are not monitoring everything in the right way, most of the organization, they will not notice the difference. He was able to do it for some organization and make them pay for the tires that he was able to steal. And for some organization, they complained to the company and he said, oh, it was a mistake. And he was able to fix it. He continued doing this and this and this. But after a long period of time, after stealing a lot of tire, the accounting department noticed there's a huge differences in the numbers. His sales are going down. So many customers complaining about him that internal auditors launched an investigation and they did inventory count on a surprise basis and they discovered huge loss. And they understood that he was able to do this over 2 years without anyone noticing because he was doing it on a low scale. Anything with a fraud, when you move it up, someone will discover it. So don't be greedy. This is what will happen. I was like, I don't want to be greedy inside the organization, so I need to be careful. If I'm going to steal, I'm going to steal on a low scale. I was like, okay, interesting. Then, you need to be very careful. People who are doing fraud inside the organization, sometimes they reveal themselves by showing all these assets. If I'm going to steal from the organization and I'm going to go and wearing, gold watch and very nice dress and going on vacation, people are going to notice. So I need to ensure that I'm not going to show anyone that my stats change when I'm doing fraud. That's also another important fact to look at for an accountant if you see any changes in people's lifestyle. So I said, I was trying to figure out this question. What can I do with more money? I am currently working as a maestro, and I'm very happy composing all these amazing songs and playing orchestra, living an amazing life. Should I really leave my job after all my research to work in the corporate world, where corporations are trying to gain more money and money, accountants, they are trying to control all these transactions, that they are creating all these statements, a lot of fraud happening, but internal auditors are the look up for all these things? Or should I go back and enjoy playing music? So I thought, I have a smart idea. I'm going to go back to be a maestro, but I'm going to create a song about fraud. Interesting. If all of you are interested in fraud, why don't I create a song to tell you what is fraud? And to tell you about these people who are doing fraud. These people are not bad people, but they have issues. Because of that, they steal. And they are going to keep stealing and stealing. They are fraud.
I'm hiding in the dark. Somehow it's safer here.